Hi, my name is Shannon and I'll be analysing clips from Terminator 3, Ridick and Oblivion.
Hi, my name is Paige and I'll be analysing Disney films, The Avengers and Brave.
Okay, so for my first clip, Terminator 3, we can see from the start the melting faces of the mannequins, which is getting rid of the stereotypical look for women, like getting rid of their makeup, their pretty hair and all that. And after seeing the billboard, we see a typical idealisation of what a sexy woman looks like. The Terminator uses this image to her advantage. As we can see, she enlarges her breasts. Fair enough. But to this advantage, she can easily control the male cop. The audience first see the cop clearly as he approaches the car. We can see that he has authority, one because he is a cop, but also because he is seen in higher angle views. So that shows that he has authority, although he's stunned by the woman's quite large boobs. So,
And I guess it's the cinematography as well, so it's always that the women are looking up to men, which is kind of shown in the...
That shows that the male has authority as well. However, because he's stunned by her large breasts and petite figure, it shows that she has control over him, even though he's the authority, she's in control. Her saying, "I like your gun," is used as a sexual reference towards his package, as well as his actual gun. The next shot of her is from a high angle, which, as well as a slow panel of her crouching down, which shows that she's done something quite drastic for her to gain this sudden power, because all of a sudden she's in high angle shots. So, and also we see that her licking the blood, that could show that she's possibly turned on by blood because she's doing it in a sexual way. This could possibly mean that this could be a reference to PMS, possibly, which could be a reference to her being a lesbian. So, however, the woman first seen in the clip is shown as quite helpless, as she is naked. However, the stern facial expression on her face shows otherwise. She doesn't seem quite phased that she's fully naked. She's just walking casually down the street, and as soon as she sees a woman in a car, she walks straight up to her, no hesitation. She gains control quite quickly because she does take the car and the woman's clothes with fairly little effort, as well as, and it doesn't take her very long to take the cop's gun away from him. The representation of the male policeman, however, is that of a typical male. The first thing he sees of a woman in the car is her big breasts. That's why he's stunned at the first, and a second time he's stunned again because of her comment, "I like your gun," which suggests there's not much more about him than that.
And I guess that she uses her sexuality to get what she wants. So the tight-fitting clothes suggest that she's quite confident and stern, and she doesn't use that much facial expressions in the clip, which shows that she's kind of reserved but at the same time confident. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the Disney film that I'll be talking about is Sleeping Beauty, and how that the princess is the damsel in distress. The theory that it's shown is props character functions, so it's the hero, the helper, and princess, and etc. Sleeping Beauty and Snow White are quite similar, how they are anti-feminist films and that they show a damsel in distress that needs rescuing by a handsome prince, and that Sleeping Beauty is like shown as quite a Barbie doll that needs to be taken care of by a man, and that in the film that you just see her kind of like dancing around and singing, but you don't see her actually do something productive. Like it's more of a exactly. It's more of a domestic housewife kind of thing, and she's been sexualized as a female that is kind of, I don't know, like kind of useless in a way, and that she's kind of stereotyped as a kind of a dumb blonde in some in some types of ways.
There's not much to her.
No,
other than
like
hero.
yeah, and then. But going on in Disney films is kind of slightly improved with the feminism stuff. So Mulan was like the first film where it shows the main character, which is a woman, being shown as more of a masculine type of female. So Mulan's obviously about a woman that takes her father's place in the war and shows her kind of disguising herself as a man and fighting to save the country, which shows women in a better light as
more equal to men.
Yeah,
they can
because they do
stuff that they
yeah,
can do as well.
we can do the same jobs, so that starts the whole era of feminism. And then going on to Frozen, which is a recent film that's just come out, and it shows how two sisters are princesses, but one of them turns out to have powers, and then
there's not really a lot of rescuing involved. It is a lot of the two girls themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not that the man comes to the rescue. It's more of a sister saving another sister. So like in the end of the Frozen clip, you can see that.
As Anna puts her hand up.
Yeah,
her sword stops the sword.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the representation of the sword is kind of the penis, and then the hand represents the vagina, saying that kind of like, no, stop, in a way.
Females rule.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of iconography used throughout Disney films. So, as I said, the sword as a penis, and yeah, and then the micro elements like cinematography are used so a lot in Sleeping Beauty, as the man is kind of looking over the woman lying there, which suggests that he's kind of more in charge of that situation. And so it's like the editing and then the sound. So especially in Sleeping Beauty, you can see her singing, and she's kind of got the voice. Her voice is more of a high pitch, and the man's kind of lower. But yeah.
The second film is Ridick. The first thing the audience sees within the clip is her getting out of her buckles and him chained in cuffs and chains against a wall. In this position, you can kind of see it's sort of like a womb shape sort of thing. So I suppose that's sort of, he's portraying female strength, but it's also a weakness because he's tied up. The clothes that she's wearing, however, suggest that she's not a typical looking woman, because she is wearing like all black, and she's not wearing a lot of makeup, and her hair's just black. However, she is sort of portraying a typical sort of figure for a woman. She is quite dainty. She is wearing tight jeans. She's more sexual though, however, than typical women are. Her heavy breathing and biting her lip whilst looking towards him suggests that she is the weaker of the two, because she succumbs to his looks and his sort of scent, because she's smelling him as she's grinding. But yeah, also grinding along his body, taking his scent in as she goes, suggests that she's turned on by him. This would be obvious because his figure is sort of a male gaze. It is what women like. He's a very good-looking guy. He is really muscular. He's quite tall, and he does portray a optimal male. However, she does get startled by his eyes, and as she pulls away, one of her legs gets caught by both of his. This could conventionally be a sense of a penis entering a fanny. However, he is quite calm, and her heavy breathing suggests that he is the dominant of the two. And after he says, "You know you grind your teeth at night, sexy." After he says this, he allows her leg free, which does suggest that even though he's a male, he is still in control, which is the typical sort of thing you see in nowadays films. The male has more authority. There are three different types of perception within the clip. The first one is of Riddick's character. He represents a calm and very collective person. He doesn't really move unless he has to. He's always alert because he hasn't fallen asleep like the rest of them has, and he seems quite quiet and he's quite a mysterious character, which also leads on to our second character, who is obviously turned on by this. She's a woman who's easily succumbed to her natural basic desires, which does mean she is the less dominant of the two. Her actions and body language towards Ridick suggests that she is quite sexually attracted to him. And my last representation is of the other males within the cabin. These males are preserved as quite lazy and rather plain males, as these are quite relaxed males. They're very fast asleep and they have no idea what's going on around them. They're not aware. They think they're safe. They think they've got authority, but clearly they haven't. And the theory that could be incorporated here is male gaze. In this film, it shows that there is usually only one male who is the optimal male, and that would of course be Ridick. The other male, however, are omega males, and they're less desirable because their posture and actions aren't very attractive. Like one male, he itches his crutch, and the other males aren't very groomed in the facial hair area.
So I'm going to be analysing Avengers. At the beginning, it's a scene with Black Widow. This clip is quite similar to the Terminator 3. So at the beginning, we can see the Black Widow wearing a provocative dress, which you can see kind of her cleavage a lot, her wearing tights, her hair let down, and quite a lot of makeup. At this moment, we can see the authority, who has the authority, because there's three men surrounding her, and she's sitting down. So in the cinematography, we can see the camera angles and that she's always looking up to the men, and the men are always looking down to her. And then, so they speak Russian in the first, I would say, minute or 2 minutes. So her tone of voice is kind of scared and weak, I would say, and the men have a stronger kind of tone and in the voice. And then once they get the phone starts ringing, she talks in English, and we can see that her body language has changed straight away by her talking in English to the guy on the phone, and her tone of her voice becomes more confident, and this suggests that she's kind of acting that she's weak and has no authority.
So secretly she has control
Yeah.
over everything.
So secretly she's kind of been playing them all along. So she uses her sexuality to kind of trick the men to thinking that, oh yeah, she is scared, she's quite intimidated and stuff. So once she starts talking in English again, then the fight scene happens where she kind of takes out all three men with no kind of hassle.
effort at all.
Yeah,
Because she's tied behind a chair.
Yeah. So she does it effortless, and which shows that she did have the confidence or the control all along, and that she's kind of walking away from the situation quite confident. In comparison to Disney films, you can see that the Black Widow represents feminism, so that she's quite strong, she's in control of any situation that she has. And then in Disney films, it was kind of the opposite, where men are more in control of the situation and can determine the princesses' lives and stuff. So.
Okay, so my last one is Oblivion. The audience can tell immediately the ranking between the three people. The woman standing has the highest authority because she is shown in high angle shots. The protagonist male, is always in forward headshots, and the woman on the sofa is most of the time always in low angle shots. The audience can always tell she's higher of the two because she's the only one talking. However, when the man does talk, it's because of her. She's given him the chance. However, he is the bearer of bad news, and that's all he's really allowed to say, because she sort of shuts him up afterwards. When the woman laying down tries to move, she is stopped by the woman standing. This shows that out of the two women, she is the stronger woman. However, the facial expression on the woman lying down, it seems like she could become the controlled person. She could become the highest authority, but her facial expressions are sort of suggesting she's staying back. She's holding herself back for a reason. She does seem quite like a strong person, but for whatever reason she's staying back. However, when the woman protagonist tries to use the needle, which could essentially be seen as a penis, the other woman laying down stops her by grabbing her hand, which could also essentially mean a vagina. Again, there are three different perceptions of characters within this clip. The first female protagonist is seen to be quite calm and quite stern with her words. However, seems quite annoyed with the male protagonist, Jack. This may possibly be because he saved another person. She saved another person. I think it's mainly because he saved a woman rather than a man. She could be quite jealous of this, so therefore she has become quite stern and quite authoritative with that. Jack, however, seems to be portraying a much weaker and calmer vibe to him. He doesn't really say much, and he's often looking down or away from the two other characters, because I think he senses hostility between him and the female protagonist. I think again it's because she's possibly jealous of him saving a woman instead of a man. And last but not least, the female on the bed. She seems quite scared and anxious. She's quite scared and quite anxious to get going. Like she's quite busy. She needs to be somewhere important. There also seems to be something about her and Jack as she keeps looking at him. She's just sort of mainly paying attention to him. It's like she's wanting to see what he has to say about the situation. And also she doesn't seem quite hostile towards him. Her facial expressions towards him are just quite natural, just sort of looking at him, whereas her facial expressions towards the female protagonist is quite stern, quite annoyed, quite anxious. But yeah, other than that, the between him and the woman, there's not much. There seems to be quite more there because they keep looking at each other. It's like they recognise each other. But obviously at this point we're not too sure. So that's my last and final clip.
So my final clip is the trailer to Brave. So in the clip I could tell the narrative how a young Scottish girl is forced into a marriage that she doesn't want to go in. And stereotypically she's meant to be like her mother, that's kind of like a domestic housewife.
Like all the other sort of
Yeah, like the other
Disney
princesses. And instead of that, she's being more like her father, who's kind of like crazy, wacky, and a warrior. So from the trailer, I could understand that men are using swords while she's using a bow and arrow, which could suggest that, again, the sword is represented as a penis and bow and arrow could be represented as a vagina. In this, we could again tell that it's not like a Disney film, not like a. So in the film, she wants to be more like her father rather than her mum. That's typically a housewife. So.
I wouldn't really suggest like more. She wants to be more like her father. It's just Disney sort of trying to get their princesses out of the stereotypical domestic women, like out of doing chores, the damsel in distress. She just wants to be more free. Hence why she has a horse. She has a bow. She has the bow and arrow. She just wants to act like a normal person, not like a stereotypical princess. So, in a way, she is kind of more like her father. She is more free, but in a way, she just wants to be herself, which is a contrast to previous Disney
films, yeah. And it's kind of like a reverse of Prop's character functions, where stereotypically the female is the princess and the hero is the male, where in this that we don't really see any characters.
She's sort of both,
yeah,
in a way, because she's the hero at the end,
yeah,
but she also causes the trouble.
Yeah. So the character functions are within her. That makes sense. And yeah, so Disney films are changing their kind of course into making females kind of stronger and empowering them. So yeah.